our lesson, the First World War, and today we'll discuss the reason of American entry into the First World War. Let's go through the learning objectives of the topic. The learning objectives of the topic are: crisis leading to the outbreak of the war, condition of Europe on the eve of 20th century, Anglo-German rivalry, factors leading to the formation of Triple Entente, the crisis in the Balkans, the Balkan Wars, the Austro-Serbian rivalry and Sarajevo murder, the course of the First World War, warfare or technology of the First World War, why did the USA join the First World War, and causes of defeat of Germany in 1918. We had already discussed about the crisis leading to outbreak of the war, condition of Europe on the eve of 20th century, Anglo-German rivalry, factor leading to the formation of Triple Entente. We have done the crisis in the Balkan Wars, Austro-Serbian rivalry and Sarajevo murder, the course of the First World War, warfare or technology of the First World War. And in this module, we are going to discuss why did the USA join the First World War and change the course of the First World War. Before going ahead, let's discuss the new terms of the topic. Isolation, to remain itself away from the world politics. Belligerent, powerful or strong. Unrestrained, without any restriction. Monolithic, formed of a single large stone. And the last term is monarchy, the rule of king or queen. In this module, we are going to discuss the reason of US entry in World War I. We'll discuss all these points that you're seeing on your screen. We'll discuss the unrestricted German submarine warfare, Lusitania, the treaties, the Zimmermann Notes, and the Sussex Pledge, which was taken by America. Why did the USA join the First World War? What were America's contribution to Allied victory? President Monroe announced the Monroe Doctrine in 1823, which said that Europe should not interfere in America, as America is only for Americans. America should not interfere in Europe. So, America should keep herself in isolation. The policy adopted by President Monroe was the policy of isolation. He did not want that America should be involved in the European politics. At the same time, he also wanted that Europe should keep itself away from America's internal conditions. James Monroe, the fifth American president, in 1823 declared that America would not involve herself in the world politics. Though America was much closer to the Allied group in the First World War, yet it decided to remain neutral from the First World War. Since then, up to the outbreak of the First World War, America stood isolated. Even the outbreak of the World War I did not affect American isolation from 1914 to 1917. America adopted the policy of neutrality or isolation. Even when First World War was started, in its initial years from 1914 to 1917, America did not join any of the powers. America decided to stay away from the European politics. But then, why America joined First World War in 1917? What pressurized America to join the First World War is that what we are going to discuss in this module in detail. The apparent and the most obvious cause of USA's joining the war was Germany's unrestrained submarine attack or neutral shipping. These attacks greatly affected American ship movement, caused loss of merchandise and human life. America claimed that international law never permitted deliberate attack on shipping of neutral nations. We had already discussed that there was enmity between Germany and Britain to prove themselves the best naval power. Now, Germany did not restrain itself only to showing Britain that it was the best naval power. In fact, Germany started attacking on those countries also which were not a part of the First World War, and it adversely affected America. Many of the American merchandise ships were affected This violated the doctrine of freedom of high seas. American patience broke down when German submarine droned a passenger liner, the Lusitania. Those who were droned belonged to the first governing families of USA. America was waiting very patiently then when Germany would stop attacking the neutral country's ships. It was alleging Germany that Germany was violating the international laws which says freedom of high seas. That means the neutral country's ships could not be attacked. But Germany was attacking even the ships of those countries who were not the part of the First World War. But ultimately, America had to join the First World War when Germany attacked a U-ship of Britain, Lusitania, which was a passenger liner, and it was not a warfare craft. And many of the people who belonged to the rich. Let's see what happened with Lusitania. Lusitania was crossing near Queenstown, a war zone. Dense fog was there, so it was impossible to see around. British government sent a warning to the crew that a submarine could be there. The crew was in crisis. What to do? They increased the speed of Lusitania. 22 centimeter was the target set by Germany to hit it. The Germans were looking for Lusitania to come in contact. A torpedo attack was made. In one attack only, Lusitania submerged underwater. On May 1, 1915, the vessel leaves NYC, New York City, and sets sail for Great Britain. 1,900 passengers were there on the boat. Boat was believed to be too fast for the German U-boats. May 7, 1915, vessel torpedoed by U-boat. Looking deeply, however, it is clear that American economic and commercial interests were badly affected by German submarine attack. American doctrine of freedom of neutral shipping on high seas was working for her economic interest. It was not basically that only attack on Lusitania was the reason for the American entry in the First World War. America was against Germans' attack on the neutral ships because, as according to the international law, the freedom of high seas was granted to the neutral countries, where America could carry on its trade with other countries. But when Germany started attacking on the ships of neutral countries, it harmed her economic as well as. The American industrialists and armament producers hoped that they would sell shiploads of resources and weapons to European belligerents and extract huge profit. The Anglo-French powers were their main buyer. On the other hand, Germany found that unless America's supply of resources and weapons to Britain and France could not be stopped, it was difficult to lend their back. Hence, Germany resorted. As America was not the part of the First World War in its initial phase, so the American industrialists and armament producers were earning a lot of money by producing weapons and selling it to both the European groups of First World War, the Allied and the Central Powers, and earning a huge amount of money. They were doing it by ships. The ships used to carry the weapons and unload to the European countries. England and France were their major buyers. Germany was knowing that till England and France were getting armament from America, it could not stop England and France, so it wanted to cut off the supply of armament from America to England and France, and this was the reason that Germany decided to attack on the ships of America, and hence Germany started to unrestricted submarine attack on American ships. Germany protested that if her submarine warfare was illegal and violated freedom of navigation of seas, then blockade of Germany's coast was equally illegal. When America was criticizing the unrestrained submarine attack policy of Germany, Germany replied. Secondly, Germany's reply to American protests were haughty and arrogant. Germany's reply was that why did Americans travel in ships they should keep at home? Thirdly, Germany gave the warning that Americans should keep ourselves away from German ring fence of submarine attack. When America was protesting German submarine attack on neutral countries, the ships of the neutral countries, the German reply was very absurd. The Germany gave the reply that Americans should not travel in the ships as Germany would attack on the ships of even neutral countries. They gave the warning to America to stay away from German ring fence of submarine attack. They told America that what was the area, the territory, the territorial limit of the sea where the Germans would attack, and Americans should keep themselves away if they don't want that there should be no attack of German submarine on them. The role of American President Wilson. President Wilson, who was the 27th US president, found that USA has three alternative options before her. One was to respect German warning and keep the US's ship out of the ring fence imposed by Germany. Second was to tolerate silently the losses that America was bearing and remain neutral. And the third was to declare war against Germany. President Wilson selected the last alternative. America stopped its traditional policy of isolation and decided that it would join the Allied powers against Germany and would be a part of the First War. Apart from the economic and commercial interests, politically the US senators spared the balance of power would be dangerously affected if the American Senate, which is the upper house of the American legislature or Congress, also wanted that America should join the Allied powers during the First World War to fight against Germany, as Germany was proving to be a major rival of America by attacking the neutral ships of America. So, America should try its best to retain the balance of power in the European countries. Even the British Prime Minister Lord Grey also told USA that England was not fighting for its own cause, it was also fighting for Germany's unrestrained submarine attack on USA. The cultural affinity with England. The majority of US citizens were descendants of Anglo-Saxon race to which Englishmen belonged. Their forefathers came to settle in America from England, hence racially they feel affinity with England. England and France had democratic constitutions like that of USA, while Germany had an autocratic monarchy. American press supported Anglo-French powers out of emotions and sentiments. So, it was natural for the citizens of America to support the Anglo-French Allied powers. America had been a colony of England in the past, so their culture, their race were similar, and their constitution was also similar. That means both the countries were having democratic forms. Even France was also a democracy at that time. So the democratic government stands for equality and stands for equal rights for everyone. Whereas in Germany there was autocratic rule of Kaiser William II and Bismarck, and people were denied the right to speak and forming any sort of organizations. So people did not have any affinity, any bonding, or any sympathy with the Germans. Rather, they felt that German attack on England and France was wrong. So the common Americans also supported that America should join the First World War in favor of the Allied powers. American bankers had given a lot of credit to Anglo-French powers when the course of the First War turned against them and Germany made massive attack in 1916. The capitalist class pressurized their own government to give active support to the Allies, otherwise the money would be lost. One of the great reasons of American entry in the First World War was its own economic interest. American bankers had given a lot of money as loan to England and France when they were fighting the First World War against Germany. But when Germany was defeating both the big powers, the bankers were afraid that they would lose their money, they will not get their money and their rate of interest back. So they put pressure on their own government to help the Allied powers so that they can get their money back, and thus economic as well as humanitarian factors drove USA to the vortex of Great War. And it was American entry to the World War I that changed the result of the First World War. Let's understand the impact of this Great War in US. It was end of laissez-faire policy. People see the huge power of government as a tool, so government started interfering in the internal policies of individual. America became the leading world economic power because in the initial years of the war, American bankers and industrialists has given money to the European countries as loan. US Senate rejected the League of Nations and returned to the Monroe's policy of isolationism. So this also became a reason for the Second World War. Human progress was hindered due to economic crisis in the war. US contribution to Allied powers. Broadly speaking, the war would never end in 1918 and Allied powers might be uncertain of victory if USA remained neutral to the last, because in the initial years of the First World War, it was Germany who was winning most of the battles. It was US that turned the table and got the Allied winning the First World War. American resources and supplies put pressure on Germany. America was fresh with army, fresh with resources, so it put pressure on the resources of the Germany. The American soldiers lacked experience and skill of European warfare, but they had youth and they have unbound confidence. Their methods of warfare were totally different from the Europeans, but they have fought the First World War with zeal and enthusiasm. Fresh with the money, fresh with the human resources, it was American entry which changed the result of the First World War. Otherwise, it could have been the different result that the Germany and the Central Powers could have been the winner of the First World War if America had not joined the First World War. The Bolshevik Revolution and the withdrawal of Russia put Anglo-French allies under great pressure in the Western Front. From Ludendorff memoirs, we come to know that Germany calculated that submarine warfare would cut off American supply. Within 12 months, Britain would be on her knees. The Bolshevik Revolution, which was there in Russia, it pressurized the Russian government to withdraw its forces from the First World War. So Russia decided to not be a part of First World War. It put more pressure on the England and France as they were now without support of Russia. From Ludendorff memoir, Ludendorff was a German Home Secretary. He wrote that Germany calculated that submarine warfare, the German submarine attack, would cut off American supply to England and France. And within 12 months, or within 1 year, we can say, Britain had to surrender and Britain would withdraw itself from the First World War, accepting her defeat. Ludendorff, who was the Home Secretary of Germany, said that the circulation was ludicrously false. He wanted to say that America could not send the armaments now in England and France, but million tons of war material poured in Western Front from USA. Thus, USA's contribution to Allied victory was immense. In fact, without entry of USA, it was impossible for Allied powers to win the First World War and to defeat the German side, and that also especially when Russia has also withdrawn from the First World War. So it was American policy, the American suggestion to jointly attack on Germany from all the sides that worked, and Germany had to surrender and sign an armistice with the winning countries on 11 November 1918, and the First World War came to an end. However, USA tried to impose her own terms at the end of the war as a price for her support to the Allied powers, failing which she again sank into policy of isolation. The vacuum caused by US's withdrawal after 1919 was dangerous for the world peace. The balance of power became unstable, which Nazi Germany rudely shattered in 1939. USA has imposed some conditions, like Italy, who changed her side during the First World War, was not given anything from the First World War. After First World War, League of Nations was formed, but once again America decided to continue its policy of isolation. America did not join League of Nations. As a result, again the balance of power in Europe got spoiled. France tried to dominate Germany, as Germany was already defeated in the First World War, and France and Germany had been the traditional enemies. England could not stop France from humiliating Germany. So there was a rise of Nazi Party under Hitler in Germany, which again gave rise to tension in Europe. And again, the world has to see yet another and even more dangerous war than the first one, and that was the Second World War. In this module, we have covered the following questions. Why did America adopt the policy of isolation? Why did America enter in the First World War? What was contribution of America in Allied's victory? And what was the cultural affinity between England and America? Go through all these questions, and if you want to explore more, you can see a YouTube link on your screen. You can search more for more information. With the help of this explanation and internet, you are advised to make the notes of the above topic. I hope this module has been fruitful for you. We'll meet you in next session. Till then, have a nice day.